welcome to Bitstorm, a comedy game design podcast by two guys who know nothing about comedy nor game design. I'm Ben Slinger, and with me, as always, over there is Trevor Scott.
Over where?
Over there, through the phone line, well, through the internet lines.
Now
a couple of suburbs over. Hi.
Hello.
So, this is episode 70, and we're going to do the same old stuff that we always do, which is click pitch. Trevor, would you like to tell our lovely listening audience about the game that is called click pitch?
We have a random word generator each. On the count of 3, 2, 1, we're going to click refresh. We're going to take those two words, say them both at almost the same time, mash those ideas together, and come up with some game design ideas that are either funny, interesting, or boring, so we throw them away and we start it all again.
Yeah, and you'll never see those ones. They are on the cutting room floor of Bitstorm.
Yeah, there were a couple last week.
Never to see the light of day. If you wonder why sometimes our episodes are about 52-ish minutes, that's because there was literally 8 minutes of shit.
Or, in the case of last week, 20 minutes of shit that got cut.
It was a shit-heavy week. Anyway,
nice.
Let's do it. 3, 2, 1, click. Creature.
Heckle.
What?
Heckle.
Oh, heckle.
Yes.
I thought you said heckable. I'm like,
no.
Like something that can be hecked? A creature heckle. My mind immediately goes to anthropomorphic creatures in a comedy club.
Yeah, but I also
don't know
thought
that there's a game there.
I don't like that idea. But what I do like,
yeah,
in my mind went to a race between a tortoise and a hare, and all the supporters on the side just heckling the hell out of the two of them.
All right, that's interesting, because how can we come up with some gameplay? This is going to be a challenge for us. How do you come up with gameplay where one person's playing a tortoise and one person's playing a hare that still makes it somewhat fair? Or do you? Because the whole point of that parable is that there's one person who is super fast but also just super cocky and fucks it up because they think they're going to win anyway. How do you get that across in gameplay terms?
I mean, all I was thinking is having a race, but what you actually have is Twitch-controlled crowd in which you're just getting continually heckled from Twitch streamers, so you don't have to have necessarily a tortoise and a hare. Racing is more...
Okay.
You have the racing idea, and people can cheer for whoever they want, and it's more the crowd controls whether someone gets... slower or faster, depending on who they're cheering for.
The crowd controls it.
Yeah.
All right. So we're sort of seeing the movement of. All right, that's interesting. So maybe we start with tortoise and hare, but it's literally just you can match up any two animals to race against each other. But you're saying their speed is entirely controlled by who Twitch wants to win?
I think it's more who Twitch isn't heckling.
All right, so they can slow people down.
Yeah.
Do the animals have any sort of innate speed? Like, is the hare actually, 50 times faster than the tortoise, and so it takes more heckling to slow it down?
Oh,
or do they start on even terms?
I didn't say foot race. I'm talking like V8 supercar race.
Right. Well, I guess there's your leveling mechanic, as in you put them all on the same level. All right. I kind of like the idea of just random foot races of two random animals against each other, but it would be very hard to balance and figure out all the gameplay mechanics. Yeah.
Whereas I can see this being a spectator sport on like big Twitch channels or something like that. That basically
I guess it's so. The idea is that you, along with all the other Twitch people, are having some effect on the race. Is anyone else affecting the race, or are they just if you started it up in a channel with nobody watching? If two animals in V8 supercars race while nobody's watching,
does anyone win?
Do they both win? Yeah. Does anybody win?
Well, that's a good question. Do you have like minimal sort of AI sort of just choosing, okay, let's throw out, I don't know, the equivalent of like a red shell or something like that, and just sort of it's Mario Kart rules, But the more Twitch supporters there are, the more that it starts leaning on someone else getting debuffed, as it were.
Right. So it's basically the annoying rubber banding in Mario Kart, but controlled by thousands of people watching.
Yep.
Okay. That's got some interesting potential. I do like the idea of Twitch-controlled sort of stuff, or any sort of massive audience potentially affecting the outcome of something. I feel like that's really difficult in a race thing, but I can't think of anything better. So...
I mean, pretty much all I'm thinking of is, at PAX where you've got like that big area that they usually have Jackbox. I can just imagine like a whole heap of people sitting around there. You got maybe 6 people facing off against each other, and you got everyone else sort of watching and sort of tapping the button for the person that they're cheering for.
Wait, so in this situation, it's actually people playing as well?
Yeah.
I thought it was literally just AIs.
Oh, no. I think it'd be fun to actually have 2 people playing.
So people are actually racing against each other.
Yes.
But somehow their car is being affected by the Twitch audience.
Yeah. So sort of like, like the blue shell, you've got...
Yeah.
Maybe spikes come up out of the ground that you've got to sort of navigate around, and basically the track gets harder for the...
Did the Twitch audience have to type in specific things, or do they just have buttons that they can press?
It depends. If you're at like a...
heckle a certain person.
If you're like at like a PAX event where you can have almost like a Jackbox style mobile screen that maybe you can choose who you want to heckle or who you want to praise. But in fact, no, you could even just do that the whole time anyway.
You could do that the whole time, yeah.
Basically you've got the room code there that you just log into, and then people can type stuff into the chat, but it's not going to actually hurt at all. Like, it's not actually...
So it's only through this app that you affect things.
It's just a web app. I think that's better.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. So is it just that they slow them down, or do they, like, every time you heckle someone, it increases the chance of their engine exploding, or...
I think maybe what you could have is every 15 or 30 seconds, one person who's watching at the time gets given something to actually fire at someone else.
Okay. Well, what would be interesting is if the number of different people, the percentage of people who have heckled, Janet, on each person playing, there's a meter that when it reaches the top, somebody who's watching gets to do something bad to that person. Like one of the people who has the app. But in the meantime, everyone can still be hammering on the buttons for whoever they want to lose.
Yep.
Which makes those meters go up to make more bad things happen to them.
Yeah, and maybe whoever's got the least amount, you see all the signs in the crowd has their name on it and that sort of stuff. So they start seeing, okay, I'm being cheered on a lot more,
Okay, because they don't see the meters. They don't know when... that would make sense. They don't know when this stuff's going to happen. So you almost need a spectator screen as well as the screen that the actual players are looking at to give overall information. I guess it could be just in the web app.
Yep.
So I do like this idea, and I feel like actually instead of this just being a racing game, this could be a middleware sort of thing that we apply to all games. So any game can implement our APIs and have and basically publish to our APIs that this game has these sorts of things that can happen, that can be put upon the players.
Yeah, because we're being given special permission from the producers of the game to actually put.
Well,
this,
that's it. They just register with our API, and so then you can then it's like you've got a PUBG tournament, and you've got 100 buttons on your screen, which is getting smaller and smaller as people get killed off.
Well,
but then
I'm seeing it that you've got like squad screens. So you can actually, navigate down into a squad.
You can penalise a whole squad.
Yeah, I like that.
And so could there be good things that you can give to people as well? Like Maybe it's a balance between some people want to hammer the button to make people's bad meter go up. And, in that case, in PUBG, it triggers the fucking red circle and starts bombing them.
I suppose what's
alternatively,
good about it, I suppose what's good about it is, you've got some people who are actually going to be nice to the big streamers. But you've also got some people that are going to be arseholes to the big streamers. So you got Ninja and Drake that went on the other day, and they got the most people in Fortnite. Well, you could just imagine that there's just as many arseholes out there as there are
absolutely
nice guys. So
there are people I'm going to fuck Drake up by dropping a crate on his head.
Because otherwise, you've just got people voting for the big streamers, and then they're always going to win, and then that's not sort of fair.
That's true. It's maybe better to have it only be penalties.
Yeah. But then again, they could penalise everyone else.
Then they could just penalise everyone else. But they'd have to choose the right people, right? Because otherwise they're going to split the vote across everyone.
Yeah. But I suppose the good thing is you've got only one person being selected at random every 15 seconds. So if you've got 100,000 viewers, then...
Well, no, I thought it was when their meter reaches the top, though.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what you were saying.
I guess there could still be limits to how often it can happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd want to, because then if you... Or it would at least have to be based on the percentage of people watching, because you get, 20,000 people into a Twitch stream, and this one person who everybody hates is just constantly getting shit dumped on them. Literally, in the game. That's one of the penalties.
They actually just crashed the whole server because they just spawned 50 billion cars on this one guy.
Yeah. All right. I think that one's gone on long enough.
3 draw and click.
It ended somewhere very differently than it started.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, I got mod.
Lagging.
Oh, God. See, I was going to say that what we should do is this is going to be a mod on an existing game, because I got mod. Although we kind of just did that. Yep. But also, the fact that you got lagging.
So it's an online multiplayer game. It's just
a really unoptimized mod.
It sounds like a lot of the Skyrim mods out there.
Yeah, it just the frame rate goes down, your network speed goes down.
Okay. So what it is Bethesda actually, just released Skyrim VR and Fallout 4 VR.
Mm-hmm.
But they decided that they've finally actually grown a heart and decided to give out these mods for free, because that's pretty much all they are. They're just mods on top of their existing games. So people that have already bought the games can get in there for free. That's my comment.
That's all you wanted to say. This isn't leading to a game idea.
And I was just thinking that, Skyrim lags quite nastily if you put too many mods on. So
I'm sure it does.
I just don't like the idea of paying $60 American to have Skyrim VR when I've already got Skyrim.
All right, Trevor, go and start a actual game news podcast if you want to talk about gaming stuff. We talk about imaginary games.
Okay.
So modern lagging, maybe it's something to do with someone moderating an online forum.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but they only see new posts that come up 5 minutes after they happen, and so you have to shut them down quickly. I don't know. That's not a game.
Nope.
That's just a nightmare.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Lagging.
I think let's just click again on this one.
Yeah,
I don't have anything coming. Trip.
Mounding.
Mounding?
Yes, I don't even know if that's even a word.
How is mound a verb? To mound? Heap up into a rounded pile. I mean, I guess I just would never have thought of that as a verb. When I search for it... I guess I searched for mounding.
I just saw the Urban Dictionary.
Oh, God, no. What is it?
Mounding is the practice of taking a male's genitals and shoving them up in the body cavity.
Well, can we make it into a game? I kind of like the idea of some... Oh, God, are we really going... I kind of like the idea...
No.
Because I can just picture sort of the soft body physics that would come from trying to like poke the end of a penis and push it back up into the body. Only people with penises or people without penises who have tried this on people with penises will know what this feels like. But there is actually a very specific, like, because it kind of bends to the side if you don't, like, line it up. You know what I mean? Maybe this is a mod for genital jousting. Oh, well, they don't have body cavities, though.
Oh, shit.
All right, trip mounting. So maybe instead of using the penis thing, we just talk about creating mounds of something.
Okay, so you play a groundhog.
Okay.
And you happen to be in a golf course.
Okay.
And...
Is Bill Murray there?
Yeah, Bill Murray's the groundskeeper. Chevy Chase is like like one of the patrons of the golf course, and effectively you are playing Caddyshack the game, but as the gopher.
But as the groundhog.
Gopher or groundhog or whatever it was.
Oh yeah, was it?
It was a gopher.
It was a gopher.
At least I fixed it up myself.
Yeah.
But I kind of like the idea that you're actually seeing it from like the gopher's point of view. So the reason.
So are you trying to like pop up in front of someone's golf putt and like take the ball, or what are you trying to do?
You're trying to basically ruin people's games. You're trying to trip them up. You're basically trying to be a nuisance to try and get them away from the golf course because you want the golf course to shut down because this was originally your land.
Right. So it's an analogy for, you know, native indigenous peoples being colonized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you want to get all political with this.
Something else where it's completely not ready to do a story about, but that is something important. So you talked about this native lands. Yeah, okay. So I'm just trying to think of, what's your view like in this, that you can actually do this? Do you have to like pop your head up occasionally to get the lay of the land and then guess how far to dig? To like come up on the green, but do it in the right spot that you're not going to get whacked in the head with a golf club? I
kind of don't think that you want a first-person view in this. What you want is almost like a third-person view. So
okay. So maybe you're above
ground.
So it's a third-person view and you're seeing the typical like Bugs Bunny mounds of dirt come up as you dig through close to the surface. Okay. So there's a little bit of like Tron light bikes in there. What happens if you cross over your own path? Does your tunnel like collapse in on itself and you are visible?
Well, maybe
you have
that's
to run away?
something that you could actually do. That each level is one of the holes of the golf course. So there's 18 levels in total, and what you're trying to do is like guess how far like the first drive is actually going to be. So you got to try and create some sort of line that's going to stop the ball from going. But then you can't cross. You can't cross the stream, so it becomes almost like a puzzle game.
That's interesting. So is there a time element in that someone is coming and playing golf as you're doing this? Or do you get a certain amount of golfers so you can see, all right, the first drive is going to land around here, so I need to put a mound, like because maybe you can do like long mounds, which is you digging through, but then you can also dig up to make a hole. And the idea is that you want the golf balls to go into the hole. So the long mounds are you like, if it's rolling along the ground and hits your mound, it's going to go along it, right? Yep. Like, and then if you can manage to put that somewhere where it's going to go along it and then put a hole at the end, and you like win that ball or whatever. Yeah.
But, pretty much for each level, if too many people, make holes that like get it into the actual cup on the green, then you start losing not morale as such, but if you know what I mean, like it's like you got only a certain amount of balls before the
I think
the greenskeeper comes along, which is Bill Murray.
I think maybe there's one group of golfers, and it's literally them you're trying to get revenge on for some reason.
Yep.
But they've all got different skills, right? So you know that, the guy in the green and white striped shirt doesn't have a good drive. So if he's up first, you might want to put your mounds a bit closer.
Mm-hmm.
But that means that, the woman with the red hat who does have a good drive is going to go right over those mounds unless you have dug them in such a way that you'll catch her ball too.
Yep. In
some other way.
But if you do too many tunnels along the way, then like the groundskeeper comes in and actually collapses them with his shovel.
Well, maybe you also need to leave a path for the golfers themselves. Like if they have to step over or if they see too many mounds, then they call the groundskeeper, and you fucked up the level. So there's sort of this aspect of you can't just crisscross the entire thing. So even though you're not like crossing your own ones, they're going to have to walk over them all. You have to be strategic about where you sort of crisscross the fairway with your mounds to guide the ball.
You know why they need to? Because it's just turned into a stealth gopher game. So
yeah. I think absolutely. I think if you're seen.
So you've actually got to collapse your mounds after you've sort of.
I don't know about having to collapse them. I think they just don't notice them at first, or if they don't have to step over too many. Because I like the idea of not being I mean, I guess you could backtrack through them. I just think that there's more challenge if once you've laid a mound or a track, you literally that's it.
And there's no way of cleaning up. Yeah,
there's no way of cleaning up. You just have to restart the level. You just have to restart the level, right?
Yeah.
If you fuck it up. Yeah, I don't know. That's cool. There's an interesting aspect of puzzling there.
And I think maybe each golfer has a certain number of balls that they've actually got in their bag.
Yeah.
And so that's almost like their lives as such. So
Right. So if you can't get all of woman in the red hat's balls because she keeps overshooting your mounds
by the 18th hole,
then she survives. Yeah, you kind of knock them off. Yeah, that's cool. I like that as a way of doing that. Yeah, that's good. And yeah, you start to learn the personalities of these people. Like the weedy guy with the long hair always hits it into the sand traps. So if you put a hole at the bottom of the sand trap, you're generally going to get his.
So in other words, you put a trap in the sand trap. So it's a sand trap.
Totally, a sand trap. And the gopher's name is Trav, so it's a sand trap by Trav.
Okay.
And it's very well made, so it's a sound sand trap from Trav.
3, 2, 1, click.
You don't have any?
No. I'm actually really impressed that we were able to get a game idea out of mounding.
Yeah, I know. Who would have thought you could make a game about pushing a penis up into your belly? We did it.
Okay.
Teenager.
Flattest.
Oh, no. Flattest teenager.
Yes.
Again, we're not qualified to make a game out of what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Because there's a very obvious direction to go with girls' self-esteem around their breasts.
Oh, you were going with girls. I was going with guys with no bulge.
Well, I don't feel like that's so much of a thing. Did that happen to you, Trevor? Were you teased about your lack of or abundance of bulge?
See, I shouldn't have been practicing all the mounding.
Just is that like because the thing is with teenage girls, I think from what I know of them, and look, I'd better learn. I've got 2-year-old girls. I've got a bit of time left before they're teenagers. But from what I've known, if they develop breasts early, then they're teased, and if they develop breasts late, then they're teased. So I don't know what the sweet spot is. Is that why it's called Sweet 16?
It may be.
Yeah, it's like unless you have. Yeah, and I'm not okay. We need to be careful. We need to be careful about how we discuss the breasts of teenage girls. I'm not sure where the game is. You could definitely make like a visual novel out of it, but again, we're not the ones to write it. I think.
Okay, so teenager and flattest. So I'm just wondering if this could be like. So I've got this idea. Remember when you were young and you went out and got like leaves and stuff, and then you put like.
I remember when
you put them in between like big phone books. And you made like the leaves perfectly flat.
Yes. Okay,
so I'm thinking that it's a visual novel about these teenagers who are in this club that they're just trying to make different things as flat as possible.
So it's not just leaves.
So it's leaves. It's pieces of paper. It's
pieces of paper are already flat.
Crumpled bits of paper.
Just trying to flatten back. They just like
tennis balls,
things to be aesthetically pleasing. Bugs, small rodents.
You know what it is. You know how on YouTube, like, there's this thing about hydraulic presses that people love watching things get flat. It's just.
Oh God. Okay.
It's literally just a physical simulation of that, so you can put anything into these things and see it,
including teenagers.
But no, maybe you play one of these hip teens that go on about how awesome it would be to see a blender be flattened, and so you get to put it in here, and then
I love that we've gone beyond will it. I love that we've gone beyond will it blend to. Will it be flattened in a hydraulic press? And the first thing you put in there is the Will It Blend blender.
Yep.
Which I don't remember the name of, which means those advertisements have not done their job.
But I just started thinking, people watch those things all the time. Like, watch those videos all the time, where they put like some crazy dense metal in one of those hydraulic presses, and quite often, because of the physical exertion, they explode, or they just totally fuck up the hydraulic press. Well, what would happen if you got a super awesome like physics based simulation that you could actually do these things? It looked hyper realistic, but you didn't actually damage something, and you could flatten anything that you wanted.
And that's the whole game?
Yeah.
Or is there some sort of gameplay around it as well?
Is there gameplay to the new PC building simulator? I think not.
Well, yeah, there is.
There is?
Because you have to, like, fix people's computers and stuff.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to put that on my wish list then.
There you go, guys. I just sold a copy of whatever it's called, Extreme PC Building Simulator 2018.
I want to see how much it's going to cost for me to put my 8 Titan Vs in there.
Jesus. So the other thing that came to mind with the hydraulic press is maybe this is the next big Gen Z fad where we're going beyond Tide Pods. And apparently there's a thing around snorting condoms.
Yeah.
I hadn't actually heard about that except for people... like a couple things. But anyway, this is the next big thing where it's like they buy hydraulic presses and they see how close they can close it on their hands or something, or on their heads without hurting themselves.
Okay.
And again, you've got your great physics engine.
You know what? I want
and
this,
you're
I want
a
this
hydraulic press
have,
mechanic.
I want this to have a little bit of story behind it. So these teenagers find like this awesome
Haunted hydraulic press.
Okay, haunted hydraulic press.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, the voice of the ghost is Justin McElroy. Because I'm just...
We need to... before they get that big Trolls 2 money, we got to get them quickly. Yep.
Because the McElroys will be in Trolls 2.
Oh, we know. Yep.
So I kind of like the idea of it being like an Augustus Parsons sort of voice, because I really like that voice.
Oh, like the southern drawl.
Yeah. Helping these awesome teams.
So this is presumably the teenager who died in this hydraulic press the first time.
Well, maybe he's the old man who owned the factory in which this hydraulic press was originally in.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was a teenager themselves.
Maybe, but either way, I want Justin McElroy to do the voice.
That's fine.
And
then obviously the other two McElroys are the voices of the teens.
Of the teens, yeah. Because, I mean, they can do awesome voices, and yeah. And their dad does a little cameo. As like...
Sure. As the hydraulic press. When it gains sentience. At the end. That's a spoiler.
What I'm actually thinking, though, is that it's rather innocuous at first, you know, getting them to compress small little things, and then it starts lusting for blood. So it's like it asks for like a homeless man's hand, and
get me a rat. Oh, wait, geez, you jumped straight to homeless man's hand? A human body part? Well, how are they even going to get that before they get it to the press? Or do they have to just like convince a homeless person who has gone through so much already to come into this fucking condemned old factory, and they've just like put some food on the press, and they're just like, just take it, just take the food,
and then it goes in very slow motion. The thing is, he could have taken his hand away at any time.
Wait, you're saying that the press is actually coming down slowly?
Yes.
I thought you meant that we just then see the press slam down on his hand, but we see it in slow motion. But you're saying that the press just slowly comes down.
It's always in slow motion on those YouTube things, and I think it'll just be funnier if it's...
And it's just like, oh my God, no, don't crush my hand. They're just like, this guy could just leave.
Yeah, they're not holding him there. They're only teens. And it's not like we actually forced him to do it. We just said, do you mind putting your hand right there?
I mean, yeah, okay. But I do like, there's a very Stephen King-esque sort of thing around this hydraulic press starts to get into their heads and yeah, make them like bring worse and worse things to be crushed in this hydraulic press, ending in a human being, presumably.
But the thing is, it could have been stopped at any time by them just refusing to.
Well, yeah, but, I mean, that's the whole point of a ghost. Like, ghosts can't really affect the real world. All they can do is ask nicely and then get into your brain and mess up your perception and give you
really
nightmares for the rest of your life.
What you're looking for is, you know, where can we go next? Where can we go next? You know, where does the story go? And it's like, well, actually, had you just stopped, it would have shown, you know, how the teenagers went, but now they've just been corrupted. And
that's an interesting meta narrative. It's like, I have a book, my kids have a book called Don't Read This Book.
Yes.
Have you seen this?
I've got both of them.
Oh, are there two?
Yes.
I actually find it not that great a message, because literally the entire book is this character in the book pleading to the reader not to turn the page because something bad's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, the only way to see what's going to happen is to continue turning the page.
Yeah, my son my son just goes, turn the page!
Oh, yeah, so do my kids. And they just cack themselves laughing when the guy goes, what the heck? Because they think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But no, like, this character is begging
awesome
you.
Voices on whenever I read that to James. Like, yeah. I go over the top and go, what do you mean this happens? You can't do this, blah, 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 and just start going faster and faster and faster, and he absolutely loves it.
Oh, I'm sure he loves it. But yes, this character is literally begging and pleading you to not turn the page, and of course the kids want to turn the page. So I don't think that's a great message. But yes, I think that applies to this sort of game, or it would be an interesting thing in a game where the only way to like you somehow get the player to relate to and feel empathy to these characters, but then the game makes it very clear that the only way to not have anything bad happen to them is to just stop playing.
But it's one of those things of what happens next, and hopefully you've got
totally,
that written
and it just
in
gets
such a
more
way.
and more gruesome, Saw-like endings to these people. It's kind of like Until Dawn, but where you as the player are literally the perpetrator of these crimes, and they blame you every single time it happens. It's like, why are you still playing? It's this very fourth wall breaking. Our friends are dying. Stop playing the game.
But I want to see what happens next.
you can actually converse with them. You're evil.
Oh, it's just because they've got awesome text analyzing software in there.
Well, no, I mean, I assume just conversation trees, but...
Yeah. Okay, 3, 2, 1, click.
I like that. We moved a little bit away from that hydraulic press at the end there, but I think...
So we're flattest.
Prime
Nephew.
Prime Nephew. I am the Prime Nephew. All other nephews are lesser. Okay, Prime Nephew. So, I mean, there are a few ways we could take Prime. And all of them are somewhat interesting.
I'm kind of taking it in a horror way again. I kind of like it as if maybe this Prime Nephew is actually like sort of like The Omen.
The Prime Nephew. Yeah, well, look, I was kind of going to a multiverse kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little bit like Jet Li's The One.
Okay.
Where something about your nephew, like literally somehow your nephew, like in all other versions, in all other universes, even remotely similar to this one, this nephew doesn't exist. But in your universe, he does.
Okay.
And that gives him ultimate power of some sort. And the game is you sort of finding this out and weird things happening with your nephew.
Okay, cool. I like this. Sort of like I'm seeing it that you've now got to protect your nephew and try to teach him right. And
yeah,
basically you could have like an evil corporation trying to capture him. You can have like different narrative things happening where you are in like a cabin in the woods and you sort of training him to like survive out there and this sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I definitely like the idea of having to protect him. I think maybe you play like his auntie who studies like quantum mechanics and multiple dimensions. And
That's
so
awesome.
once weird shit starts happening when this kid turns, I don't know, like 11 or something, like somewhere where they're starting to understand the world from a somewhat more adult perspective, but still very young.
Sort of like
it.
a preteen rather than so not a child, but just in that golden sort of.
Yeah, before puberty, but
yeah,
but starting to grow up and think about adult things. And so, like, this kid's parents come to you because you're the only scientist in the family. It's just like something weird is weird. Something weird is happening, and you're a doctor, and you're like, I'm not that sort of doctor. I have multiple PhDs in quantum mechanics and astrophysics and.
I'm just imagining now that some weird shit was happening and we were waiting for a letter from Hogwarts, but it didn't come. So
yeah, that's why we actually waited till he was 12. Like we knew that at 11 the letter usually comes. We're big fans.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so yeah, you kind of take this kid under your wing. And kind of experiment on him in certain ways. And so maybe, and obviously it's going to be very heavily narrative and, I'm thinking kind of point and click adventure-ish. Maybe even a bit of those kind of, I'm almost getting shades of those old FMV games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think the game's actually FMV, but
No, but
just with you sort of just have this sort of puzzle to solve and this sort of puzzle to solve, and so you do things like you take a sample of his blood, and somehow in that you notice like the quantum vibrations are stable or something that nobody else has.
yeah, it's a stability that everyone else's blood happens to be
Well,
like fighting for supremacy.
Yeah, everyone else's cells are like shifting between universes, between dimensions, as they determine, like as decisions determine whether that cell is going to continue existing in that position or not, or whatever. Right? That's before the waveform collapses. But his cells are stable. His cells don't shift. They're just literally they have already collapsed the waveform. It's like
Yeah.
It's like he's fated to be wherever he is at any point.
Okay, so
across all dimensions.
I think what can also happen is an evil version of you comes across.
Okay.
And that's when you finally defeat that one, you look at your cells and they're just a slight bit more stable than what they were before. And that's where you create this hypothesis about
right,
you know,
about all the different versions of you in different multiverses.
Yep.
So I wonder if you find out, is it just chance that your nephew survived some great tragedy in this universe, where by pure random chance in literally every other universe he died?
Well, I think what it can actually come down to is that your sister, his mother, originally in every other universe died as of something that you actually did, and you're the only one to have actually saved your sibling.
Actually, wait. I like the idea that in every other... it's not just random chance that they all survived this single tragedy at birth or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's random chance that of the limitless ways that someone between the ages of 0 and 11 can die,
Yep.
this is the only one to have survived them all. So every time you meet someone from a new universe, you find out how that version of your nephew was killed before they reached 11. Like,
you know that one of them has to be a hydraulic press.
Yes, of course. That was the final one.
Oh, but I was sort of thinking that it was, you know, your sister never survived through childhood, so therefore she never met the father and therefore never had the child. That's why, you know, this is a miracle child, because the child,
right?
She never existed in anything else.
That could be cool too.
No, I can't. I do kind of like the idea of like this never-ending like death of Morty sort of thing.
Yeah, is that what we're going to name the nephew now? Just in honor of.
But that's what I'm now picturing him as. But
we should come up with a name for him. Fandy.
no.
No. Fuck, we're bad at names.
Yeah, we are. We're really bad at names.
All right, never mind. The nephew. Yeah,
well,
I like that.
Maybe to keep his identity secret, you just call him the nephew, or the nephew.
It's like the bride in Kill Bill.
Yep, and his name's always beeped out. But just like
You're actually gonna like homage to Kill Bill and beep out the name every time.
Yep.
And she just calls him Kiddo. You can go as far as that.
Yep. Kiddo or nephew. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Unlike our previous game in which we didn't actually come up with our one from a little while ago that we came up with like this 3-act structure and then just said, yeah, we'll finish that in the next game. Let's actually come up with like the ending,
finale, like the climax.
The climax to this one.
Well, I think there are multiple endings. Well, it's just I was just thinking that like if someone becomes ultra powerful when they're the only one left across all dimensions.
Yep.
Does that mean the older you get, the more, like, is it the power gets gained, or do you only get any sort of actual power once you are the final one?
I think you have to actually defeat the other you.
Well, wait, how did this kid do that?
Oh, yeah, true. Damn it. Damn it.
No, I think that as soon as you're the last one, you get like ultimate power. But the thing is, there are infinite dimensions out there. Most people die within microseconds of another version of themselves.
You actually see like a scene where your grandfather dies and like he gets bathed in this golden light and then dies. It's like
totally
he happened to be the final one.
Look, that's it. The older you get, the more likely you're actually the final one. But generally, like at least one other universe, someone else is getting, nearly as old as you down to the second.
Yep.
So yeah, for most people, and maybe that's why people think heaven exists, because a certain percentage of people as they die are the last one, across all universes.
They get bathed in this universe that is called like, I don't really want to say quickening, but it's sort of like
it's the priming. the priming of the soul.
Or maybe they just call it the glow. And it's like certain people in this universe, they get selected.
Well, I don't think it's selected, because selected kind of implies an intelligence behind it.
Yeah, but they think, they've built this religion
off it. That
they think
the
that
religion
this
is built
person has
around
been selected. But what's actually happening is they're the final one.
Yeah, it's just randomly they are the final one, and they get this moment of pure power before they die, or basically as they die.
I think it can be also that it just so happens that this universe happens to be a very special one in the fact that a higher than normal number of people actually are the last ones to survive. That's why maybe that's why it's a religion here.
Yeah, but I mean, with all the people in the world over time, like it doesn't have to be happening constantly. It could literally happen once every 50 years, and they'd still build a fucking religion around it, right?
Yeah, true.
And that's what makes it so hard. Nobody's managed to capture it on film, or maybe like one person's managed to capture it on film, but nobody believes it because it's just like there's no further proof of anything around it. And it doesn't mean anything. It's not like anything. I mean, I guess maybe as part of the game, you study some of these people who have died in this way. You manage to get some of their cells and you see that they have reached that same point of stability that your nephew has.
Yeah.
Maybe you've looked at them previously. Maybe you're the one person in the world who has like started to figure this out even before this.
And here is where my twist comes in.
Okay.
You're actually the second person in this world, because the first person was you from another universe, and you from the other universe are the actual antagonist in this. So
right, and so they figured it out too, and are you the only two left?
Maybe you're the only two left, and they've amassed great wealth and are actually the leader of this secret organization trying to capture your nephew. But it turns out that the reason why they know all this stuff is because they are you who has been going through and actually and destroying all the other yous.
I guess the thing is, how is this person traveling between dimensions, like universes? Because I think up to this point, your character has just figured it out from things within their own universe, right? And they're studying this religion, and they've been studying quantum mechanics and the vibration of cells, and how everybody's cells, are less or more stable in different ways. And like they notice that as people get older, they tend to get more stable, but it's, and she's trying to figure out why that is. Is it just that the other version of you has figured it out further to the point that they literally figured out a way to jump between universes?
I think so. I think they've actually got like a portable wormhole generator or something like that they can actually set up. set up a localized wormhole that they can travel to a new dimension.
No. I know what happened.
What happened?
So your other version of you has been studying this as well.
Mm-hmm.
But they happened to take cell sample from their version of the nephew.
Mm-hmm.
And noticed that it was the most stable set of cells they'd ever seen. Because this is literally the point where there are only 2 of your nephew left. And then she kills the nephew because she thinks that it's going to get the glow. But what that actually does is makes your nephew the final one, the prime one.
Yep.
But what that means is that he is then capable of like seeing between universes, and he kind of sees that happen. And that kind of create that, and he tells you about it, and like that's actually what allows your other self, because she sees him as well, and she sort of figures out what's happened, and maybe that gives her an epiphany of the dimensional thing and how to then start moving between them.
Yep.
And she's kind of siphoning off his power or something. Like it's his power that's actually letting her do that.
So I'm thinking that maybe that happened when he was 6.
No, I think it has to happen when he's 11. I think it literally, because up to that point there were more and more of him, but they were just dying in all these other universes. And it's that when he was 11, your altered dimensional self took that sample and looked at it and was like, holy shit! Like, but he's got to be the last one.
But is it maybe one of these things where when she did travel, she went back in time, so therefore she's got to sort of build up this army over 5 years or so?
Well, maybe that can happen over the times. Like maybe the story's actually from when he's 11 till when he's like 16, because then there can be a whole lot of you teaching him stuff, but during that time she's also building up. Because I think in her alternate version, in her alternate universe, she was actually, because like you're just studying the religion from the scientific point of view of you think they've observed these glow moments, and you think there's actually something scientific behind it, whereas she's like drunk the Kool-Aid, like she is thinking of it also from a religious point of view, and so that's why she has the sort of the desire to kill the nephew, because she thinks he's the last one and she wants to see this glow. It's like she thinks this is the only way it's going to happen. She's going to see this glow and she's going to measure it and she's going to get something out of it. But then it doesn't happen, but because he was the second last one, but as part of that, because of the creation of the Prime Nephew, she then gains this additional knowledge to jump between universes.
I love the idea. This is the Prime
Nephew. That's definitely the fucking episode title. So we still haven't actually got to the climax. So what happens at the end? I mean, presumably she's defeated in some way. Do you manage to teach this kid? Does he actually survive? Is he just a god now? Can he jump between dimensions? Like,
well, I think what actually happens is they both sort of go up against the mirror universe
aunt,
the one with the goatee. They defeat her, and all of a sudden, your character glows, and you know that you're now the final one.
Oh, and so together, you and your nephew explore the multiverse. Yeah,
basically, you decide that it's no longer safe here. There's too many people that now know, so you actually slip on her wristwatch, which happens to be the portable wormhole generator.
Because
or whatever.
by then, if you're the Prime, you've got the power to do that anyway, I think.
Okay, and they go off.
And then you do reveal the names, and it's Rach and Morty.
I was actually thinking Meredith, but anyway.
Meredith?
Yeah, I don't know why I came up with that name.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just making a stupid pop culture reference, but whatever.
No, I really like that idea.
That's really fun. All right. Man, we've really taken these ideas on tonight and tried to turn them into something. I think let's do one more.
Cool. 3, 2, 1, click. Mopping.
Voltage. High voltage. So this is definitely some sort of game where you like play a janitor of some kinds, trying to avoid high voltage wires as you like mop and leave highly conductive water puddles behind you.
Well, what I was thinking is this actually a sequel to Space Quest?
Okay.
Where you play Roger Wilco.
Yeah, Splodger Wilco.
Splodger Wilco.
Need to watch our point-click repeats to get that little reference.
Do.
Please be the first person
to watch Space Quest 3. I notice you still haven't watched it.
They're all waiting for Space Quest 4, man. Got to get that up.
Yeah, I'll get to editing that one day.
One day.
Okay, so what actually happens is, as part of an experiment in Space Quest 7, there's something that actually happens to Splodger, in which he gets hit with a massive amount of electricity.
Okay.
So a high voltage, as it were.
Yeah.
And they all hold a funeral for him because they think that he's dead. But what's actually happened is he's turned into like pure energy and has actually been downloaded into like an internet sort of thing where there's a whole heap of other electrical creatures. Mm-hmm. And now it's all about can Splodger get out of this electrical world and back into a body.
Okay. That's an interesting place to go. So the whole game is set within like the network of the space station or something.
Yeah.
That he's on. What's the Deep Space Nine?
It's the Deep Ship 86.
The Deep Ship 86?
Yeah. That's what they called it in Space Quest 6.
In Space Quest 6, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of neat. I like the idea that it still looks like him just walking around, but like he's got a blue uniform with a lightning bolt on the front. While he's in there.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of classic point and click adventure between all these places, but you're inside the computer system and the network, and there's like other creatures who have been caught in there, or creatures who are like naturally electricity inclined, or like artificial intelligence or other software and things. So there's a bit of you can do a bunch of like Tron satire and stuff.
Do a bunch of Tron, but then there's also times in which
some weird science.
There's also some times in which you need to exit the grid, as it were, and you can hijack like an appliance.
Yeah.
And one of the appliances being a Roomba-like thing, and basically you can travel around a la Rumu between different places. But then if you get into like a secured area, you can like hop out again into this new network.
And then you're in like a different network because it's a secure network. It's not connected to the other one, so you have to physically get there. Yeah, I like that, and I like
it's
that
almost like you're hopping a ride on like different appliances to get between different places.
Well, I like that one of the puzzles, maybe mid-game or into the first act or something, is you're trying to get in contact with someone, and so some of the puzzles are getting the screen working and getting the inputs right so you can project yourself onto the screen to maybe tell Beatrice or whatever. Is she still...
Yeah, I like the fact that... you brought up Beatrice because I was about to bring up Beatrice. In 6, what actually happened was Beatrice decided not to bring Beatrice back, and they brought in this other character called Stella.
That's right.
It sort of hurt a lot of people, a lot of fans, because they all liked Beatrice from Space Quest 5, which when you see our run-through of Space Quest 5, when we finally finish it, if you haven't played the games, you'll see, the great romance that happens between Roger and Beatrice. And it was very short-lived because they decided not to do it. Well, maybe in Space Quest 7, she turns up for Roger's funeral.
Right. Okay.
And she meets Stella, and they can have like a bit of an argument, or
they can have their own. Well, and they can just have their own.
I think Stella made it through the. I think she made it through.
I can't remember. We'll find out when we get to Space Quest 6.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I like that. And then you manage to get in contact with them, and then they're helping you a bit. They're able to do certain things in the real world for you at different points in time. And yeah, you're making your way through, and maybe while you're in there, maybe this is the second act. You get into that secure network and you find like the evil shit that the captain's doing or something, or that like an admiral is doing or whatever, someone high up in power.
Yep.
And then the game is bringing them down in your usual Roger Wilco bumbling kind of way, by planting obscene pornography on their computer, on their iPad or something, and then putting it in a place where the authorities will find it.
Oh, I kind of like the idea that you can have, given that back in the 90s there wasn't too much in the way of wireless transmission. You can now hop on. We now agree that yes, there are wireless transmissions, and you can sort of like hijack wireless transmissions and travel on like the captain's iPad as he goes between.
Right. Well, I kind of like the idea that wireless isn't actually. It's not. It's not good enough. I had a better words.
Mm-hmm.
The Wi-Fi isn't good enough to transport your whole consciousness over there, so you kind of end up there in fragments. And so the parts where you're able to get onto the tablet or whatever, but there's only limited things you can do, or you can only stay for a certain amount of time or something. Because you have to travel through the higher bandwidth wired networks.
There could be a final puzzle in which you've spread yourself out over like 3 or 4 different things that you can only see through this one camera. You can only use you got control of one like claw
one
arm,
robot thing,
and then you've got like hearing from this microphone in some other room. So
I like that. You're having to figure it out. You see them like walk out of your vision, but then you're able to hear where they are. And so then to like, based on the sounds you hear, when to activate the claw arm to grab something. Yeah, that'd be a really fun puzzle to figure out, actually.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I like that idea.
That's awesome. All right, we definitely just wrote Space Quest 7. Hit us up, Two Guys for Andromeda. I know you don't actually have the rights to Space Quest. Well, hit us up, Sierra, I guess. Who owns it? I don't know.
Probably Vivendi again, don't they? Or
yeah, probably.
Oh, Activision would, actually. Activision
give us a ton of money, and we'll try to build it faster than fucking Space Venture, which I literally backed on Kickstarter in 2012.
Yeah, I saw that they put out another update, and
they're still
working
on it. I don't know how they even have the money to be still working on it after 6 years.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look that good.
It looks alright, but like I watched their latest update video of their little robot dog going through like
it's pretty like I hope it's funny and I hope the puzzles are good, because it doesn't look great.
It looks like something that was done in maybe 2012. I think that's about the.
Not even that. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. That's not what this podcast is about. I like it. It ends with you obviously bringing down the whatever and getting back into your body, or a new body. Maybe you get into a new body.
You end up in Stella's body. Stella and Beatrice go off.
Interesting. Or maybe you end up in a robot body. Maybe you are now in the second Terminator or whatever it was.
a third
one. Yeah, a third yeah.
Android or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I only just got that.
Android? Yeah. All right. I think we'll end it there.
Yep.
This has been fun. Thanks, Trevor.
Yes. Should we end our podcast properly?
Yeah, I was going to. Calm down. So, if you'd like to find us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, we are BitstormCast on all of those. We have a Facebook group, facebook.com/group/Bitstorm. You can also rate and review us on Podchaser, podchaser.com/Bitstorm.
Speaking of rating and reviewing, have you seen that we're also on iTunes, where you can rate and review there? We'd love it if you would. And plus also you can subscribe to us. Bitstormcast.com is our website. Like to plug our friends at the AGPN, just search for #AGPN on Twitter, or the Australasian Gaming Podcast Network on Facebook. Finally, we'd like to thank Kuridas for the song Mount Defiance off of the album Containment Failure.
Yes, we would. So, thank you again for joining us on Bitstorm. I'm Ben Slinger.
I am Trevor Scott.
And I'm the ghost of a hydraulic press.